Ghost. Not that one. So Ghost is an indie film written and directed and shot by Anthony James in the UK. The film is called Ex-Con Redemption in the United States and is slightly different, just missing a scene here and there, and it doesn't have as good of a title. Regardless, Ghost is like the extended edition of The Lord of the Rings. So we're going to pretend like that's the only version that exists, like with The Lord of the Rings. The movie stars Anthony Mark Streeter, Nathan Hamilton, Russell Barnett, Emmy Hepburn, and Severia Bilskite. Goodness. Yeah. I messed that up. So Ghost. Why am I reviewing Ghost? Well, because it's worth my time. So it most certainly must be worth your time, right? The indie film community is the future of filmmaking, so it's only fitting to support them if they're making good stuff. I mean, let's be real. A community filled with talented individuals who are constantly making sequels and reboots. That's Hollywood. But a community filled with talented people making original stuff, that's indie wood.
The term already exists.
Dang it! You can't make anything original these days, can you? But maybe today is our lucky day.
Characters.
So you've got Tony. There's a lot of Tonys lately. So you've got Tony, who is just released from prison. What for? Well, a bad movie would tell you right away and ruin the whole ambiguity of the thing. But the thing is, the character writing here is actually kind of brilliant. There's a giant spider right there. It's one of those things where I'm scared right away, but then immediately I'm calmed down because I'm like, oh, they help to kill all the things that I really hate. Mosquitoes, flies, roaches, people. I'm kidding. Hey, little guy, be safe. You see, all we know is that he just got out of prison, allowing for enough leeway to be less focused on what he did and more focused on what he's doing. This is a very slow burn movie. We see him reconnecting with people, going from place to place, telling us a story of life before through visual storytelling. It's a very quiet and character-driven movie that you're strangely magically invested in. It's almost like the creators inadvertently took a challenge. Hey, I bet you can't make a movie about an ex-con that just walks around and talks to people.
Bring it on.
A lot of this can be attributed to the acting, which we'll get to in a second. But Tony isn't the only character that we learn more and more about strictly through observation. Connor has a lot of growing up to do, and we're able to be patient with him because Tony is so patient with him. I'm actually purposefully not providing the exact relationships between these characters because you're gonna find that the writer and director for this film, he really had a lot of confidence in his audience to just figure things out, adding a lot of fun to the viewing experience. So, I mean, you'll meet Kat, who is fantastic, and so is Valerie. I'm thoroughly impressed with how likable all of these characters are through such a tenaciously unique and aggressively simple script. Speaking of likable, yeah, I hate the villains. Not in the way that they were written. No, the movie just got me caring enough that I hated them. And I'm actually not going to divulge who the villains are in the movie because, at least for me, I didn't know if this movie even had a villain right away. The movie is so implicative and non-expository that it kind of blurs the line between good and evil. So that, at least at first, you don't really know who's supposed to be good and who's supposed to be bad. This kept me constantly engaged, and it made it all the more thrilling when characters fall into place.
Acting.
Now this is the Mac Daddy, because this movie would not have worked without these magnificently convincing performances. At no point was I like, oh, they're just people acting. It's almost like I was thrown into a docu-narrative / docudrama about the life of an ex-con the day of his release. Anthony Streeter's character, Tony, he's so harbored, but communicates so much history just in the way he carries himself. It's very fascinating for this character to not say anything for a large portion of the movie, and yet we still care about what he's doing. And Nathan Hamilton's character, Connor, kind of acts as Tony's internal aggression without coming off as too loud. It still works very well with the atmosphere that has been maintained throughout the movie. Severia Bilskite? That is wrong. No idea how to say that, but that person plays Kat and has a very garnered respect, a very non-pretentious respect that speaks a lot to female supportives. And the same goes for Emmy Hepburn's character, who she isn't in the film much, but I was satisfied with the harmony that she brought to a film that is very grounded in its own reality. Russell Barnett, who plays Dominic, he was pretty enthralling for the scenes that he's actually in. And even the little guys, the side characters, are very grounded in this world, thus very convincing. Too often do bigger budget films cast crap for the background characters because they think the audience is too stupid to notice. Hello? Well done, Ghost.
Dialogue.
For a primarily dialogue-based film, I really don't have much to say. It isn't memorable, but then the dialogue isn't about being memorable. It's about being real. In a movie more so driven by drama, you're gonna remember the good lines.
Hasta la vista, baby.
And the bad lines.
Sweet dreams, you purple pile of cow dung.
But everyday conversation just kind of comes and goes. And it works really well for this film.
Story.
What makes this movie's seemingly mundane concept work is its beautiful competence and simplicity. Just take the day of an ex-con's release and follow him. But that simplicity is proof that a character-driven plot is so much more effective than a plot-driven plot. I want to watch Transformers suddenly. What? Oh, that's gonna be funny here in a second. Now, granted, this movie does have a lot of long, quiet, wide shots where we simply observe characters interacting with each other. That can be boring for some, and it would have been boring for me, except I can really tell that this director cared about the look and style of the film as a compliment. You see, if we're going to have these long takes where we're simply supposed to appreciate body language and mannerisms as a means of telling a story, well, there's a lot of people out there that are going to lose interest quick.
Who's a busy man? Me? I'm chairman of the board. I got nothing but time. What do you want?
Do something!
Americans. Yeah, the film looks great, which makes it a lot easier to take in. And here's the kicker. I didn't mention it before because it would have otherwise perpetuated this film as a gimmick. The film didn't perpetuate it, so why should I? This entire movie was shot on an iPhone. A freaking iPhone. Obviously, it was a couple of generations newer than this one, but I think. But I can't appreciate a film that was shot on a phone just for the sake of proving you can shoot it on a phone. This movie didn't do that. It focused on what's important. The characters, their relationships with each other, and the acting that makes it possible. And together they make for a cohesive story and a compelling narrative. Brilliant. Loved it.
Predictability.
Alright. This is going to be a polarizing one. It took me a while to appreciate the ending of this film, which, by the way, was a thrilling surprise. I can appreciate its relevance to the rest of the story and how it aligns so perfectly with the beginning of the film. It's going to divide some people, but I can appreciate its relevance to the story and how it aligns so perfectly with the beginning of the film. I mean, I guess a big part of my problem with it is that I just didn't want it to end, but it does. Spoiler alert. I also really appreciate a filmmaker that is willing to be risky, just as long as it's not for the sake of just being risky. I could go either way on this one, so I'm gonna leave it up to you guys.
Moral.
Ghost teaches its audience that it's important to take care of your family. They take first priority. I guess I would just say prepare yourself a little bit better than Tony, because you don't want to end up compelled to do the right thing. Otherwise, you're going to end up providing for your family more out of necessity rather than out of love. I'm not saying that Tony doesn't love his family. I'm just saying that there are better ways to do it, and the movie does recognize and address that. Another thing that should reach a much larger demographic is the subtle messages on female empowerment. The women in this movie are very independent, meaning there's no reliance on men. Guys, this film left me feeling hopeful about the future of the film industry. I mean, yeah, the future of film, it's not all that bad. We've still got Darren Aronofsky, Christopher Nolan, Denis Villeneuve, still don't know if I'm saying that right, and Steven Spielberg still doing their own thing. But eventually those fools are gonna die, so here we are. It is also my goal to make films. So if I'm not rooting for the team, then I'm not rooting for myself. And this film is such a great opportunity for me to say, go freaking team. I'm putting Ghost at number 89. I hope this is a good indicator that I want more people watching indie films. I'll be the 3,972,645,566th person to say it, but it's not for everybody. Sometimes. It's like eating food. Anybody can stuff their face as fast as possible, but they can also take a moment to appreciate the taste of film. You can catch Ghost on Amazon Prime Video. Please check it out if you want to recuperate all the brain cells you lost from watching Transformers sequels. I know I did. So upcoming is a biggin. So a long time ago. Okay, it's my turn, Mr. Kane. So a long time ago, I made a video called Harry Potter A Tribute. A lot of people liked it, and I certainly loved the hundreds of hours that I spent putting it together because I love Harry Potter and I had time. So it's only fitting to take a little bit more time and look at these films from a more critical perspective. Though I'm not sure what order I want to do them in. I know that sounds kind of like, duh. Do it chronologically. That's the way everybody does it. But it is the most logical. But I may want to do something fun, different, wacky, like reviewing them from least favorite to favorite. I don't know. I'm going to leave it up to you guys. Please visit the poll on the MovieSlayer Reviews channel page under Community to tell me what to do because I am incapable of making my own decisions. Please, my friends, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell on the side, and I will see you next time on MovieSlayer.